us respond to rising demands at work and at home by putting in longer hours.
Yeah, but no matter how you slice it, there are only 24 hours in a day. The key to getting more out of our time is to manage our energy, and there are 3 simple strategies to do that. UW Health senior psychologist Shilagh Mirgain is back with us.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Happy summer.
Happy summer indeed.
So time and energy are not the same thing?
One of the things I'm so struck by is when you ask people how they're doing, they don't just say, oh, I'm okay. They now say, oh, I'm so busy.
Always.
And, you know, we can manage that by not necessarily going after time management, but energy management. And I like to think about each day we have a cup full of energy. Some days we have more, some days less. We didn't sleep well, or we're ill or pain, or we just did too much the day before. And then as we go throughout the day, there are things that can boost energy, and we'll talk about some of those things. But the main things that drain energy, and I kind of think about them like puncturing, you know, so the energy drains out, are when we get into...
It feels good.
It feels good.
You have a lot of frustration out here.
So a lot of like upsetting negative thinking, distressing emotions. If we're really frustrated with what's going on, that quickly drains our energy.
Yeah.
So we can do some energy boosts to keep and maintain that good energy where we're most productive and feel most fulfilled.
You call it the SOAR technique.
Yeah, it's a mini meditation, so it really drops us into the moment. It's an acronym. S stands for just stopping, pausing, and connect with the breath. O stands for just open up and soften in the body, because if we're tense, it's going to be a lot of stress and draining us. A stands for just bring awareness into the moment here and now, not judging, not over-identifying with what's going on. And R, from that place of groundedness, R stands for just respond. And it's kind of like a brief plug-in, and then we can go back and recharge and deal more effectively with whatever's going on.
Some of the strategies you have, I think, make so much sense. For example, you recommend don't check your email first thing in the morning.
Exactly.
Get your day started because that's an immediate drain on your energy. The first thing you see when you wake up, it's kind of daunting.
Yeah, all those to-dos, all those emails you have to respond, and that's not the best use of your energy, because often many people have the most energy in the start of their day.
Yeah.
And so one of the techniques that I love is from Mark Twain of eat the frog first, which means get the most difficult thing done first when you're fresh, alert, and then you might check email later in the day. But if you get the first thing done, the worst thing done first, the rest of your day probably will be smooth sailing.
You got to fuel the body, nutritious food.
Absolutely. You know, many Americans eat almost like dessert for breakfast, so much sugar and all these processed foods, and that causes a roller coaster of energy. We have the high and then the crash. So instead, think of eating foods with good protein, omega-3 fatty acids, antioxidants. We want to fuel our body and mind with healthy nutrition.
Absolutely. Start the day right.
It's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
That's all the energy you have for the day. So how are you going to use it? I love that.
Yeah, and I always recommend people moving too. You know, they always say sitting is the new smoking. So every hour get up and move, walk around, do jumping jacks, stretch, even tapping your body like this can be a quick boost in energy.
I have a watch that tells me to move every 20 minutes. It buzzes and says, keep moving. Those little things.
Yep.
Shilagh, great advice as usual, and enjoy the rest of your summer.
Thank
Bring the
you
puppy
too.
back next time.
Oh, I'd love to.
Puppy.
The final check.